What is up, guys, and welcome back to a brand new video. Once again, we are back with career mode, this time for the Russian Grand Prix, episode number 62. Again, Fernando continues to stretch out his lead, and it's going to be our goal to make sure we can reel him in a little bit, give him a little bit of a reality check before we head off to his holy grail, the Spanish Grand Prix, where he's going to absolutely decimate us. I saw a comment in yesterday's video saying, like, Fernando's home track, the AI OP there, McLaren are dominant. It's going to be a task and a half to make sure that we don't get lapped. And I really do think that's true. But off we go for Q3.
Sit rep, we've got a leak in the hydraulic system, so it's going to be a few minutes before we can get you out on track.
So the weekend started off quite well, actually. Surprisingly, we breezed through all of the practice programs. Qualifying, we were very, very fast. Very comparable to the McLarens. I think we were only a couple of tenths away from the pace setters, so that was actually really encouraging. But heading into Q3, we've been denied the chance of doing 2 runs. So we only have time to do 1 run, and that's really going to put the pressure on as we vouch for potentially a pole position in this Grand Prix. All we have to do is absolutely nail a lap, and we can be in the box seat to win this race. So here we go. We're going to go through the whole lap in its entirety, and yeah, you guys can kind of criticize my driving, critique it, see if there's anywhere I can improve, but for the most part, I was driving really well at this particular track. It probably does help as well that the AI maybe weren't as quick as maybe some other tracks, and that definitely does help and play into your confidence a little bit. 2 tenths down through the middle, through the first sector, sorry, but hopefully we can reel that in a little bit as we go through the middle one now. Through here, 6th gear, really nice through. I just felt like I nailed all the apexes, and there wasn't too much more I could do. For the majority of this lap, it was all pretty much spot on. Open the DRS, max fuel mixture. In terms of the downforce, I'm actually running with more than what I would normally run, 6.6. Whereas the normal base setup that I had for this was 5.5. So it was definitely helping me out. I wasn't the fastest in the speed traps this time, but I was very comparable compared to the rest of the field in terms of the corners and stuff. But going through the second sector split, we were actually purple by 0.02 of a second, and at this stage I didn't know what was happening. I was just driving, not looking at the deltas or anything like that. Heading into the final corner, we throw it all away. We completely throw all of it away, and we end up in 6th place. So we were on target to get pole position. I did not know this. I was just driving as I was, and it was just an unforced error. I've subconsciously bottled it for myself, even though I didn't know we were on target for pole. But there you go. Looking how close the field was, from 1st to 6th, only a 1/10 and a half separating 6 cars. That is absolutely insane. Stoffel Van Dorn, 8.5 tenths away. Wow, that's a shocking lap. I don't know what's happened to him, but if he would have got his stuff together, he could have been in the mix too, and that would have been a 7-way fight for pole position, potentially. I'm really looking forward to this race now, just because of how close everyone is. Russia, it seems, is a really good leveler for performance, and I'm really looking forward to having a 6, maybe 7 car fight for the victory of this race. Unfortunately, though, there won't be much in terms of strategy. Everyone will be on the one stop. We'll be using the softest compounds possible, so it's all going to be determined by who can get the undercut, and just like raw speed over the course of the race. There's going to be no tyre wear, so it's going to be an interesting one, a different kind of Grand Prix. So we'll see how we go. Hopefully we can. I think the minimum I'm expecting is hopefully taking points away from Fernando. If I can do that, then this round will be a success.
Let's be patient going into turn 1. We want to be in a good position for the rest of the race. Good luck.
Well, doesn't this throw a spanner into the works? Welcome to the Russian Grand Prix. All of a sudden, we now have a wet race upon us. So, the form book, everything you saw in qualifying is completely out the window now. Completely different conditions. And my fault as well for not looking ahead and realizing it was going to be raining for the race. If I would have known, I might have gone for a slightly more stable setup for the rain, but we'll have to make do with what we've got. It's not going to be raining for too long, as it showed on the weather forecast, only raining for 2 blocks of the race, so that might potentially be the first stint, maybe slightly longer, so like a 20 minute period, so hopefully we can get through that fairly well, get off to a nice start, and challenge the McLaren Hondas in this Grand Prix. 5 red lights at the Russian Grand Prix, and away we go. It wasn't the greatest of starts. I actually missed it by like half a second. I was busy focusing on getting the optimal start with the clutch bite point and the revs, but heading into turn 1, bit of contact made with Stoffel Van Dorn, but into turn 2 we go. Really big lock-up. We actually make contact with Vettel there. Apologies about that. I was just completely grip limited through there, but we managed to find our way into 4th place, make that 2nd, as we slide up the inside of Alonso and Hamilton, who were squabbling away into that fast left-hander, and now we go defensive on Alonso. He tries to hang around the outside, but I don't think he's going to make that stick. We have a 1 ton or 800 kilo Red Bull placed in the way in the middle of the apex, but heading into the middle sector though, we completely give up the position. Massive lock up there, and there goes Alonso. So for the opening lap here, it's all about like finding your feet, getting into a rhythm while trying to sort out jockeying for position and all that. I found initially it was very, very easy to lock up the front tyres, also very easy to lose the back end, but the thing that was really getting me, like I said, was the lockups. I just touched the brake pedal a little bit, and I just found the car just wanting to go straight on. The car was fast, but it was so easy to overstep that mark because the car was just so on edge with the setup. So yeah, the opening few laps were a bit of a struggle, just trying to manage the gap to Alonso behind. He was very, very quick in these intermediate conditions. The McLaren really comes alive in these kind of conditions. This is where aero really comes into play. This is Stoffel Van Dorn going around the outside of Valtteri Bottas into turn 1, or turn 2 shall I say. It's actually Hamilton he's overtaking, and onto the podium he goes, or 4th place. Can I get anything right in this Grand Prix? Looks like probably not. Lap 7, track is drying up now. There's a bit of contact behind with Alonso slamming into my side pod. Again, the battle continues into the next right-hander, and now Fernando is going to try and hang it around the outside. Oh, it's just so understeery. There's no grip. Trying to run side by side with someone. We're losing time. Hand over fist to Kimi Räikkönen. The gap is like 7-8 seconds at this stage, and now the DRS has been enabled. So it's time for the dry tyres. We'll be fitting on the super soft tyres, so we should be able to run to the end, and this is the middle compound. Any other racetrack, I feel like you probably want to be putting on the softs to run to the end, but because the tyre wear is so little at this track, we could probably get away with running the middle compound out of the 3. Now into the pits we go. It's pretty much everyone carrying like coming into the pits, with the exception of Stoffel, and yeah, just a huge battle of the pit crews. I think we emerged in front of everyone there. We were racing. Alonso gets the worst run out of anyone there, and has to rejoin behind all the front runners there. As we rejoin on the track, there are some people on intermediate condition tyres who have carried on, all the midfield guys, and you can see Alonso pretty much rejoining at the back of that queue. So he's got a lot of work to do, stuck behind the Sauber of Pascal Wehrlein, and he's going to be mega slow. Watch him as he goes through this fast left-hander. Alonso is just lifting off the whole way through that fast left-hander. It was quite amazing how much time he lost. But on to the next lap. Valtteri Bottas has stopped, and so too is Stoffel Van Dorn. We jumped both of those guys, and now we settle back into P2, pretty much where we were. So for the rest of this race, it's down to us to chase down Raikkonen. I know we have a huge lead that we need to chase down to Raikkonen. It's about 10 seconds, maybe even more, and I know that he gained even more in the pit stop, so we have it all to do for the final 18 laps of this Russian Grand Prix. We set the fastest lap of the Grand Prix on the previous lap, by the way, but as the track dries up, you'll get a more representative look at what everyone can do lap time-wise, and as you can see on that last lap, we couldn't match Kimi, couldn't even match Stoffel. And yeah, it looks like on balance we're the best part of half a second to maybe even 9/10 slower than even Raikkonen, oddly enough. The Ferraris come on leaps and bounds in the last 2 or 3 races. They've done maybe 1 or 2 upgrades behind the scenes. I would have really liked to have known what they have done to their car to improve it, but now it looks like even the Ferrari is out of touch for me at particular rounds. Like, we were very close in qualifying, but consistency just over the course of the race. I felt like I was driving well, but Raikkonen was still pulling away. So on the balance of things, yeah, Raikkonen is just too quick, and I took the executive decision to let Stoffel Vandoorne go through here because I wanted to give myself the best chance to catch Kimi. So I thought I'd let Stoffel do all the beastly stuff in the corners. I'd run Rich on the straights and use DRS to stay with him. But as you can see here, we didn't get DRS. No DRS for us, even though we were 9/10 back. Thank you very much for that, Codemasters. I can see where your loyalties lie with McLaren Honda here. So yeah, that's really screwed over our race in all honesty. And Stoffel has already stretched out the lead to 1.2 seconds within not even half a lap of getting in front of me. It just shows how much, you know, potential there is in that McLaren Honda once they get out of dirty air, once they can run their own pace. They are near on impossible to stop. And here goes Fernando, overtaking a Mercedes, mind you, and it's Lewis Hamilton as well. He won't be enjoying this, seeing Fernando Alonso finally in a competitive car and just getting rinsed on the straights there. That is really, that's a wake-up call. That's for everyone to realise, wow, the McLaren Honda can overtake the Mercedes on the straight. And that's the AI doing it, not me. So, ominous signs for the rest of the season. This car can overtake, and when they do get into the lead, they are nigh on impossible to stop. So, it's going to be very interesting as well to see what Stoffel can do up against Kimi Raikkonen. He is now the fastest man on track, pretty much, besides Fernando, who is now getting caught up under my rear wing. So, we could still yet see a McLaren Honda winning this race, but Stoffel is going to have to pull his finger out if he's going to get the job done. Here goes Fernando around the outside into the third sector. We give him the squeeze. We know how important this position is to hold on to the final spot on the podium. Bit of contact there as well as we go into the third sector. And Alonso has actually lost the position there. So we'll bring up a replay. You can see side by side through here. There was a bit of contact made. And I think Fernando just came over into my line. He did. And that completely killed all of his momentum and allowed Lewis Hamilton to get back past him again. So look at that, Fernando turns right and loses all the momentum. His fault really, and he's the one who loses out because of that. So bit of karma there for Fernando, but yeah, really good to battle Fernando on track once again. We haven't had an on-track battle since the Melbourne Grand Prix, and you can see it's pretty tense between us. It's definitely going to be a season where every time we meet each other on track, it is definitely going to be one that is hotly contested. He is never going to get a free pass from me, that's for sure. But you can see Hamilton and Alonso once again fighting it out for 4th place in this Grand Prix. I think Alonso is going to have to hold it around the outside as he gets to the next right-hander. And with the better aero, he just gets the job done as well. It obviously helps that he's got the super soft tyres on as well. Don't know why Hamilton is on the softs. Obviously, the Mercedes hasn't done as many tyre wear upgrades, and they obviously feel like they can't make it to the end on the more aggressive compound. So 5 laps to go in this Russian Grand Prix. Alonso again looks threatening as ever. I try and run in rich revs, and I think that's only just enough to keep him at bay. But it's only going to be a matter of time, I think, before he potentially gets me. He puts me under like extreme pressure. He gets alongside in the braking zones, and that's the only chance that Fernando needs. Bit of contact on the straight as well. So as long as Fernando is alongside into a braking zone, he is more than half a chance to get a position off of me. But yeah, it's just down to us to make sure we break the slipstream, do as much as we can, get off to nice exits, and just hope for the best. And that's definitely not what has happened there. Alonso just caught me by surprise heading into the 3rd sector. I think he ran in rich revs in a position where I was not really running in rich, and he made the most of that up the inside. And now we're going to see if we can get him back around the outside into turn 1 with the DRS open. Job done. Thank you very much, Fernando. That is P3 once again. 4 laps to go. I think the fuel is marginal in terms of getting to the end. We're going to be running in rich revs on all the straights, and then maybe doing a little bit of fuel saving in the 3rd sector. That's where we were kind of exposed on the previous lap, so can't really afford to run lean revs anymore. So it's going to have to be standard into some of the more technical zones of the circuit. Sebastian Vettel is getting involved in the battle as well, so he's overtaken Hamilton. Hamilton going absolutely backwards in this Grand Prix. Mercedes really need to sort their lives out. Their pace has just been shocking this season for career mode, but we kind of head to Stoffel Vandoorne overtaking a lap car. I think that was Lance Stroll. Loses half of his front wing, and he may fall into our clutches just yet with 15 seconds to him. Alonso goes around the outside through the third sector. And I'm going to try and hold around the outside if I can. Again, there's contact, but Fernando does not like leaving space, does he? He's the man who is the advocate for leaving space on a track, and here he is, completely ignoring his words. And there he goes, up the inside, into third place. I think that might be the position lost on Fernando. As long as we can get a nice exit off the final corner, we might be half a chance to get him back. But with Alonso getting DRS off of the Williams, and that super exit you got off the final corner, I think that's our last chance. I think our chances of getting a podium today are lost. Yeah, it definitely is. We can't catch him on the straight. So that's 4th place. That's 2 times now this season where Fernando has got us in the dying laps and we lose points to him in the championship. I'm going to run rich revs if I can. Try and stay as close to him. I've used up a corner cutting token on this lap already. I'm going to push mega hard to stay with him if I can, but it was to no avail. Fernando was way too fast. And he broke outside 1 second, and that was it. So that was the race. We cut on to the last lap now. Sebastian Vettel is now putting me under pressure. And we're just going to burn the last of the fuel that we have left into turn 2. Vettel can't overtake me around the outside, and that is us holding on to P4. I think that was pretty much the race. That was Vettel's last chance to get us. He wasn't really fast on the back straight, so... yeah, this is him going around the outside, nothing really doing there. It's really only a one-line corner through the turn 2 little chicane, and he couldn't get the move done. Raikkonen wins the Grand Prix, get out of jail free card after Stoffel Van Dorn lost a bit of his front wing. That was pretty much guaranteed for him after that. Yeah, Stoffel gets 2nd, Alonso 3rd to get a double McLaren podium. But for us, it is again another race where we lose points to the leader.
Okay, good job, mate. Really well done. That was a fantastic drive.
And as we can see, it's time for the podium. And as the drivers make their way out, there's a familiar red suit making its way to the top step. Fantastic win for Ferrari.
So Kimi wins. First win for someone who is not driving for McLaren, and just first win for someone who isn't Fernando Alonso. So... I was wondering if this was ever going to happen this season, and sure enough it has happened. 4 rounds in, and Raikkonen buys his way into possibly a championship fight now with some upgrades heading the way of Ferrari. So, great win for him. His consistency on the intermediate tyres is what won him the race. He was just so consistent, so fast. I was pushing my best, but I just couldn't match him in either like the inters or the dry conditions, and that was not our race to win today. I was really hoping it would have been. We were so close to the pace in qualifying, the closest we've been so far this season, but yeah, it just wasn't to be. The race pace just wasn't there for some reason, but driver standings, we only lose, I think, 3 points to Fernando, so, I mean, it's not the end of the world, but in an ideal situation, we need to start catching him before his lead gets too large. We are heading to Spain next as well, where I'm thinking it's almost guaranteed that Fernando will win that race, but we'll wait and see how it goes. Anything is possible in this career mode series, and you never know, you might get a reliability failure or something like that. But guys, that has been this episode for today, the Russian Grand Prix. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe to the channel if you're new to see plenty more F1 2017 content. A question for you guys at the end of the video. Do you think I'll win this championship? I'm not so sure. If I do win, then this is going to be probably the greatest achievement of my F1 career, I think. The gap to the McLarens, and especially Alonso, is something truly, truly remarkable. I'm literally having to pull out everything, or every trick in the book to close him down. I'm even doing time trial laps in preparation before I get into career mode, so that I've got my eye in and I'm extra competitive. That is the level of competition that Alonso has brought out in me. It really is that cool, like, to kind of bring out everything, all the stops, in order to win the championship. You can see there in the performance charts just how much better McLaren Honda is. But I'm gonna keep pushing. The upgrades will start soon. We're gonna do another discount upgrade, but after that, we should see the upgrades come flying in, and hopefully we can really close that gap to McLaren Honda. It's gonna be possibly a grandstand finish. That's what I'm hoping for. I really hope Fernando doesn't pull away too much, that makes the gap too far to chase down. But we'll wait and see how it goes. Really exciting career mode in prospect for Season 4. So hopefully you guys can stick around for the journey. Thank you so much for watching. Until the next race, the Spanish Grand Prix, I'll see you next time.